Hello, hello, and welcome to another coffee break. So, today we are going to cover 5 things you should know about vital estate planning steps. Now, I can hear you groan, but estate planning is really important. And we have done a video in the past about the difference between trusts and wills. You can go watch that. We'll show you where to go if you want to watch that video after this. But these are really kind of interesting things that you might not think about when it comes to your estate planning. It doesn't necessarily mean putting together a trust, but this might kind of give you that motivation to go get your estate plan done. Nobody likes doing it. I didn't want to get mine done either, but this is kind of one of those things that we have to do in order to take care of our family and our legacy and make sure that the things that we want to have happen. So it's just part of being a grown-up, guys. So we are going to get into some kind of interesting things to think about when it comes to estate planning today, and maybe give you some food for thought and get you moving on that. So, okay, if you are coming back, we're happy to have you. We're so glad that you are joining us again. If you are new here, you might say, what is Coffee Break? Well, it's made for 401k participants. So anybody who's eligible for a 401k, this is kind of what it's geared to. Of course, if you don't have a 401k available to you, you're still welcome here. We're still happy to have you. But this is a peek at some strategies to help kind of address your financial future. You don't get a lot of education when you work in corporate or when you work at companies, and we want to make sure you get some education out, for you. These are short and sweet. They're supposed to be 15 minutes max. The whole idea is you're supposed to grab a cup of coffee, watch the video on your break, and then head right back to work because you are valuable and we do not want to take you away from your precious work that I'm sure you're enjoying every moment of. And just as a reminder, we are covering highlights only. So this is not going to get into your detailed situation. You should not consider any of this advice for your situation. If you did want to get more into everything that's going on with you personally, there is a way to set up a complimentary, no obligation conversation, and you will see all that at the end of this presentation or video. So anybody who's new here will not know who, when I keep saying we, so that is Christopher Whalen and myself. I'm Lisa Sakai. You can see we've been in the industry a long time. I tend to work with professionals, with people who work in corporate, female, but everybody out there, you men, I will work with you as well, and your families, and we figure out how these benefits work within your bigger plan. So we do full planning, but we take a look at benefits at work and make sure it's working, it's jiving, right? And Chris tends to work a lot with employers, putting together retirement plans and benefits for you so that you can get to financial freedom. So we kind of got you covered on both sides when it comes to benefits. Okay, so let's jump into it. The first is the beneficiary audit. So this is beyond the will. So many people don't realize that your 401k and your life insurance and your bank accounts, they typically bypass your will. So your beneficiary that you choose on any of those kind of accounts that have beneficiaries carry more legal weight than the will for your retirement assets. So let's say you named your ex-spouse 10 years ago, but you changed your will yesterday and you didn't change the beneficiaries on those accounts that she or he was listed on, your ex-spouse is still going to get your money. So make it a habit in 2026 to at least once a year, schedule it on the calendar to look at all your beneficiaries, make sure they're correct, and ensure they reflect your current life status. I know that this sounds like, oh, that'll never happen. I've had multiple people that I've talked to that this has happened to. I've had the current spouse, that their spouse passed away, and the ex-spouse was still listed. I've had it happen to, it's just, I've seen the ex-spouse get the money because I've seen everything from every angle of this. It happens. So make sure your beneficiaries are right on these different types of accounts. It's really important. Okay. Next is new federal exemptions in 2026. So you might have heard this, but the federal estate tax exemptions have been very high for a while now. They've risen significantly in 2026, so to 15 million per individual, so 30 million per couple if you're married. that's so high. People go, oh, I don't have to worry about estate planning. I mean, I'm not going to hit 15 million, let alone 30 million. But we want to take a look at this and not ignore state level taxes. People forget that states also have estate taxes. So many states have a much lower exemption threshold than the federal exemption. So this could still affect your planning and your family's inheritance. So you want to take a look at what the rules are and what the limits are for your state. Obviously, I can't go through all 50 states here, but you can easily search this on the internet and get some information. And if you're really confused, make sure to reach out to an estate planning attorney that is licensed in your state, understands your state rules. You don't want just anybody, that you want somebody who knows your state and those rules, because not just is it the exemption, there's lots of other rules that every state has individual. And so you want to make sure you're doing the right kind of planning for your state in particular. Okay. Health directives and power of attorney. This is part of the reason people don't like doing this, is they don't want to think about, all this, being incapacitated or anything like that. But you have to remember that some people are in a coma and they come out of it. Okay. So if we're going to think of it that way, miracles do happen. They come out of it. And who made decisions for you? If you don't have your healthcare directive, your power of attorneys, these documents that appoint somebody to handle your medical and financial decisions, if you are not able to, that could be a really bad decision, because it could be Uncle Sal that you haven't talked to for 30 years because he's a jerk. And he's the one that's coming in making these decisions for you while you're in a coma, and then you come out of the coma and he's made some horrible decisions on your behalf. You do not want that. So without these directives, power of attorney, healthcare directive, I should say, your family might have to go to court to just pay your mortgage or talk to your doctors. You don't want that. You want the people that you care about to be making these decisions. Make sure that you assign the people that need to be assigned and let them know that they are those people for you, so that they are aware. You don't want that to be a big surprise. It's not a good surprise for people, is they're obviously going to be upset that you are not, at your peak health like you are now. Another thing to consider is digital estate planning. So people hear digital and they immediately think of like crypto and stuff. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about your online bank accounts, your photos, your social media, all of those assets that are digital. If you haven't organized your digital logins, your family could be locked out of important accounts forever. I'm sure you've seen this. I have seen this, where people who have passed away still have Facebook accounts and Instagram accounts because they have no idea how to get in to those accounts to delete them. It's just sad. I hate seeing stuff like that. So make sure that you secure your digital vault to store passwords and instructions on how to access your digital legacy, and ensure your eLife is protected as your physical one is. It's very important to do. I know I talked about Facebook, like that's super important, but it's not just that. It's memories, it's important documents, it's getting to accounts. That stuff really holds things back. I don't know how many times I've heard that people can't get into important documents because their loved one did not leave passwords and they're trying to figure it out. Even getting into the computers, people can't get into because there's encryption oftentimes in computers now. So just really take this seriously, of having this stuff organized for yourself. And then this one is just kind of a last tidbit. This is not something that's going to get you moving necessarily in your estate plan, but it's kind of interesting. So you might have heard of 529 plans, and they can be used to shift wealth while you're still here to your loved ones, like maybe grandkids or nieces and nephews. So 529 plans are education plans. So basically you can put money in into these plans for your loved one. They can take that money out tax-free to go to college, to high school, there's various different rules of what can be used as, is considered to be eligible for the 529 distribution rules tax-free. But they can be an excellent estate planning tool because you're allowed to remove money from your taxable estate while maintaining control of your funds for a beneficiary's education. And so you might want to discuss with your tax person how this might play with your annual gifting strategy to support that next generation, right? And many people don't know this is kind of a newer rule, a couple years old, I believe, that you are actually able to take an old 529 plan, I believe it's 5 years or older, and convert some of that over to Roth. I believe it's up to 30,000, but don't quote me on that, but I think those are somewhat close to the numbers that you can do. And so that's nice because if you didn't use it for education, they can use it to get a leg up on retirement. What a wonderful gift, right? So make sure that you're having these discussions with your advisor, with your tax person to make sure you're utilizing your money properly for what you want it to go to. So if you're not going to use it, you want it to go to your loved ones, right? So it's definitely worth exploring all these options when you're doing your estate plan. Okay, so in conclusion, bottom line is, here are really the three pieces I want you to take from this. Make sure you look at your beneficiary designations immediately if you haven't looked at them for a while. It's really important to make sure your beneficiaries are right. Another is to establish that decision maker and get those documents in hand. That mainly is the healthcare directive and the power of attorney, because you want to be in control of who's making decisions for you. And lastly, avoid the cost and delays of probate. Looking at a trust is really important. Just making that decision if a trust is the right move for you can help so many. I don't know how many people I've heard taking their parents' stuff through probate. And even if there's no contesting, like nobody comes out and contests anything, it still takes like 1.5 to 2 years for people just to get through this court system. It can just be such a pain. So really consider that. And, I know it's uncomfortable, but, think about your loved ones. Do you really want to put them through that? So, like I said, we do have another video about the difference between a trust and a will. You've heard me talk about both a little bit in this, but if you want more detail on that, we have this and many other videos on our YouTube channel, so you can check it out right there. And you can also go to our website to find some other information like blog posts and things like that. And to schedule that call, if you just wanted 15 minutes to reach out and have a quick discussion and see if we should be moving forward with anything or not, maybe you just get your question answered, feel free to use the QR code. You open up your camera and put it over there, and it will bring up the link so that you can schedule some time. You can email us old-fashioned way at info@onevisionretire.com. Go to our website, or just kind of link up with me on LinkedIn and we can have some conversation there and then move it off if we need to. So anyhow, hopefully that was helpful for you. And maybe this gave you just a little bit of motivation to get your estate plan in order. If anything, check your beneficiaries. That's the one I definitely want you to do. So until next time, be safe, be strong, be kind to one another, and we will see you at the next coffee break.